Awakening from his sleep, the third prince of Caltarossa kingdom, Hero Caltarossa, finds himself flooded with recent memories of his past life. Hero recalls his former existence as a Japanese office worker, burdened with exhaustive work hours, tiresome commutes, and relationships that brought him little joy. Now, released from that grueling life, he awakens in an entirely new realm, bearing the title of a royal prince, yet his visions of a life of luxury soon fade, for he knows his homeland is gripped by poverty. Hero trains in swordsmanship under his mentor Heath, and after a brief sparring session, he decisively bests his teacher. Heath is pleased with the prince's skill, remarking on the young man's rapid progress, having surpassed his master in just 2 years. Hero, however, modestly notes that he wouldn't have triumphed against Heath in his prime, yet his teacher believes in the boy's potential to defend himself should their country face attack. This comment makes Hero grimace, knowing all too well that their poor, insignificant nation holds nothing worth plundering. Their crippling debts have even deterred neighboring lands from offering aid. The kingdom of Caltarossa is a place defined by despair, the very place where Hero was born, with a population that barely reaches 1,000. As the third prince, Hero has two older brothers, both intelligent yet difficult to work with. Although Hero wonders if he might ultimately inherit the throne, the heavy responsibility troubles him, even though others might welcome the idea of becoming king. He is keenly aware of their barren lands, where agriculture has collapsed, and there are no natural resources to help them. The harsh truth is that their country is drowning in poverty beyond comprehension. With a sigh of resignation, Hero brings Heath to the desolate fields. Heath is puzzled as to why the prince is eager to help the people and asks him about it. Hero replies that he wants to expand the fields while they still can. Arriving at the fields, Hero joins the farmers, who are thrilled to have Prince Hero with them. They eagerly show him their progress and update him on recent developments. They inform him of a troublesome tree that has hindered their work. Looking over at the massive tree, Hero sees that it's so strong that even 10 farmers combined couldn't make a dent. Hero recognizes the ancient tree's beauty, saddened at the thought of cutting it down. Nonetheless, he decides to act for the good of his people, channeling magic to enhance his sword. Hero reflects that in this unique world, magical abilities appear only among certain bloodlines. He fortifies his body with strengthening magic, vastly enhancing his sword, and with a powerful slash, he slashes the mighty tree in one stroke. The farmers are awed by their prince's skill, grateful as he clears the way for their work. As a gesture of appreciation, they offer Hero some steamed potatoes, a reward for his thoughtful assistance. The farmers are optimistic about producing enough food before winter arrives. Hero bites into the steamed potato, feeling warmth toward these good-hearted people. He remembers the terrible loss of life to starvation last winter and resolves to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. He dreams of cultivating more fields, knowing that even these potatoes came from other countries. These special potatoes, which thrive even in poor soil, save the kingdom from famine, though at a high price that Hero can't forget. Back in his chambers, Hero is greeted by his beautiful older sister, who has come to visit. Mary, the first princess of Caltarossa, explains that she's here because her husband is away on a mission, but there's also the bitter truth that came at a cost. Mary was married off as a sacrifice when a wealthy prince fell in love with her, agreeing to assist Caltarossa only on the condition of their marriage. This alliance helped curb starvation deaths to some degree, though Hero still recalls his frustration from last year. In the end, Hero couldn't protect his sister. Her husband, notorious for his abusive nature, has left Mary in poor health, with bruises that betray her suffering. The young prince suppresses his sorrow, inviting his sister to dinner. Mary and Hero are served a modest meal by royal standards, though even this is a privilege here. Mary acknowledges her brother's tireless efforts to cultivate land in their struggling nation. Hero is aware of his hard work to grow the very potatoes they import, trying to make her sacrifices meaningful. Mary embraces her younger brother, urging him not to overexert himself. Hero realizes that even with all his efforts, their resources are limited. While his magic helps with farming, his abilities fall short of what the kingdom needs. Hero feels the weight of his limitations, thinking of himself as just an average office worker with little experience in achieving great goals and leaving him feeling trapped. Even so, Hero longs to make a difference for his country, though his weary expression shows his despair. Mary comforts him, pledging to do what she can for his sake. Hero hesitantly asks if she would return if the country's fortunes improved. Mary, however, tells him she cannot, soothing him before she takes her leave. Hero takes note of her goodbyes and slams his fist, frustrated and now driven to seek power. Hero knows that his efforts amount to next to nothing, which is why he wants to seek a convenient power that could completely overturn his situation. As if to hear his calls of misery, Hero receives an answer from a voice in his head and becomes startled at once. Hero finds his heart experiencing an uncomfortable burn and wonders who is behind such tricks. The voice identifies itself as the informer. Puzzled, Hero feels a strange energy stirring within him. The informer claims it has been watching over him and knows of his deep desires, offering to aid him. Hero recalls that certain people in this world possess rare magic, and in his case, his ability is unique, directly responding to his desires. The informer, not merely a voice, represents his own magic brought to life. The informer has the power to answer any question the master asks, functioning as a kind of vision appraisal. However, its usage is limited, requiring mana and only available once every 30 days. Hero knows that he has been blessed with a great ability, but suffocates at the thought of such a taxing timeout. He decides to test his ability and wonders what object he should use to summon information based on the extent of his current mana. After thinking it over, Hero requests the informer to teach him the methods of making an efficient fertilizer that he can make and produce for himself. The informer obliges, giving a detailed account of the ingredients and steps required. Hero is impressed as the ability even tells him where to locate these items. With his mana fully spent, the informer grants him access to A-rank information. Hero is astounded and elated as the informer reveals that conventional fertilizer methods would be slow. Instead, it suggests learning alchemy to expedite the process. Though Hero is shocked, he realizes this path could double his productivity if he acquires the skill. The idea of pursuing alchemy, which is a forbidden art, troubles him as it is shunned by the church, yet he knows that mastering alchemy could grant him the power to transform his struggling nation, even bringing prosperity to the wider world. Hero battles against his beliefs, against the church, and convinces himself that he isn't just scared of an ill omen. The informer mentions the exact location of the skill acquisition and even provides him with direct coordinates. The informer tells him that the legacy of the legendary alchemist known as Kronel Kaisar lies within the coordinates, so it would be best for Hero to retrieve the skill at once. Hero is shocked that the alchemist's legacy resides in such a country and immediately begins his journey to acquire the skill. Venturing out into the cold, Hero battles the elements and reaches a mysterious cave. He recalls the informer's instructions to come here and considers using mana to enhance his strength, but decides to conserve it for later use. Hero strides back and forth in the depths of the cave. He is startled to find what appears to be a mysterious, human-like structure, suggesting an ancient, deliberate struggle. As he examines it, Hero speculates that this puzzle might be a mechanism protecting something valuable and realizes it could be the legacy left behind by Kronel Kaiser. Luckily, Hero's skill with puzzles serves him well. He carefully works through the intricate mechanisms problems until they are solved. The puzzle walls part before him, revealing a hidden entrance to a secret chamber. Upon entering, Hero is amazed to discover the remains of the legendary alchemist, surrounded by an immense wealth of knowledge. To Hero's surprise, he is welcomed, as if this meeting had been anticipated for more than a century, the long-awaited moment for Cronel. Hero, still wary, asks if this truly is the legendary alchemist, and Cronel confirms, explaining that he is but a golem infused with his memories, waiting for the arrival of a worthy successor. Hero, astonished, begins to grasp the profound power of alchemy that could enable such an extraordinary feat, and understands why the church condemns it as sinful. Cronel advises Hero to make the most of their limited time, as the mana sustaining the golem will last no longer than 5 days. Realizing the urgency, Hero feels each second is precious. With no time to waste on hesitation, Hero quickly requests the golem's guidance in the art of alchemy, and Cronel promises to impart all his accumulated wisdom and experience during these remaining moments. Hero understands that his own mana reserves will enable him to sustain intense work without sleep, allowing him to study continuously for 5 days. However, the only concern left is how to explain his unexplained absence from the castle. Cronel stresses that in such a limited time, Hero can only grasp a few foundational principles, making it essential for him to revisit these chambers to study the materials left in the room. Hero realizes he must master the basics first, providing him the groundwork to tackle more advanced knowledge independently. Cronel crafted a plan especially for the boy. The boy introduces himself as Hero Caltarossa, and his lineage resonates with Cronel, who sees a fitting resemblance in Hero's eyes to his bloodline. Cronel decides it's time to begin training, and Hero eagerly agrees. With that, 5 days pass swiftly, bringing them to their final day together. Cronel questions Hero to ensure he has grasped the basics, and Hero confidently believes he has. He recalls that alchemy functions by channeling mana into unique blue jewels, altering their wavelengths. He notes how distinct this is from other magic forms, likening it to programming with structured rules. The process involves meticulous arrangement of symbols and mana links, unified by complex calculations to produce specific effects. Hero understands that these combinations can create matter or nearly anything, making it an especially logical branch of magic. Pleased, Cronel is proud of Hero's progress, especially considering how little time they had. Hero too feels a sense of pride, drawing on the programming skills from his past life. Confirming alchemy's logical elegance, Cronel affirms it as the most beautiful magic form. He feels deeply fulfilled, knowing he has finally passed his wisdom to a worthy successor. Expressing gratitude, Cronel wishes Hero well, hoping he will inspire future generations. With those parting words, Cronel fades into rest, his consciousness at last moving on. Hero solemnly accepts his master's words, promising to honor his legacy. As he exits, Hero reflects on having learned the basics and comprehended the fundamentals. He is determined to study the remaining knowledge left behind by Cronel. Despite the perilous and bleak state he was in before, Hero now feels empowered with a forbidden knowledge, a power he is resolved to use to reshape the world. 2 years have passed since Hero began his intense training, dedicating himself to mastering advanced techniques. Alchemy, he's learned, involves refining base materials to alter their properties, though not to the legendary degree of turning stone into gold. Hero understands that with the right approach, he could use his skills to perform extraordinary feats of magic and amass wealth. Yet, despite the temptation, Hero's loyalty remains firm. He feels responsible for the well-being of his country. He has a mission to fulfill, a commitment to restore the nation and reunite with his sister. With this purpose driving him, Hero has spent these 2 years meticulously preparing, setting his plans in motion. Confident in his progress, his resolve is tested when an unexpected visitor arrives. This visitor is Hybana, Hero's childhood friend and the granddaughter of his swordmaster, Heath. Hybana greets Hero warmly, though her teasing irritates him. Heath proudly shares that Hybana has excelled, earning a spot in the Bronze Knights at just 14. The Bronze Knights are an elite group known for their skill, and Hybana's acceptance marks her as one of the finest young warriors. Hero is puzzled by her return, especially since Hybana's talents could have secured her a place in the prestigious Gold Brigade of Knights. When he questions her choice, Hybana, irritated, reminds him she returned to fulfill a promise they once made. Hero, initially confused, recalls a distant memory, a time when they shared a tearful moment as his sister was being married off. Back then, despite feeling powerless, Hero vowed to change the country for the better, and Hybana enthusiastically pledged to stand by him as his weapon. Reflecting on her memories, Hybana admits that changing the country always seemed impossible. After studying abroad, her awareness of the kingdom's decline only grew, and she even considered abandoning the dream. Yet upon writing to her grandfather about Hero, Heath's reply that Hero remained determined and driven filled her with hope. She returned, curious to see if Hero's resolve was as unshakable as Heath described. Turning to Heath, Hero realizes his master shared his plans with her. They both laugh at his transparency, and Hero feels comforted by their support. With Hybana and Heath by his side, Hero feels fully prepared. When Hybana asks how he intends to rescue their ailing country and if he possesses the power to do so, Hero decides it's time to reveal something remarkable. Hero leads them into a hidden chamber, a room neither had seen before. Hybana is astonished that he managed to create both the room and the tunnel leading to it, work that would have taken a single person years to complete. Hero explains that only through sorcery was he able to achieve such a feat. Heath, intrigued by his dedication to magic, watches as Hero prepares them for an even greater surprise. Hero swings open a door to reveal the fruits of his labor over the past 2 years, a vibrant field of wheat. Hybana, stunned, marvels at the sight, incredulous that he managed to cultivate wheat in a land as barren as theirs. She notes that even their ancestors failed to achieve such a feat. Hero explains that this field serves as his experimental garden, a testing ground where he refines techniques that could benefit the whole kingdom. Among his breakthroughs is this robust variety of wheat, engineered to grow in harsh climates with increased resistance to disease and a faster growth cycle. Hero proudly shares that he planted it in spring, and by early summer it had already flourished, proving its resilience. Hero also tells them that their meals are going to taste rich because of the starch. Hybana wonders if his efforts will translate well into the surface. Hero claims that even with the perfect wheat he has, a nutrient-rich soil is necessary to allow its growth. He points to the soil and states that he has used a fertilizer, which just so happens to be a giant monster's corpse. They're both surprised by the unique application. Heath tells him that the monsters contain miasma, polluting the environment. Hero responds that he made a seed for the cause. Planting it inside the corpse allows him to use the monster's nutrients for growth, nullifying the miasma at the same time. That is how the soil becomes an enriched fertilizer, allowing him to manipulate and use the corpses of monsters in his favor. Hybana is amazed by Hero's intricate vision, realizing this plan could revitalize the lands of Caltarossa. Hero assures her that they can soon make the land abundant, transforming the country into a leading food exporter. Declaring this just a start, he vows that with enough power, he'll reshape the nation's fate. Reflecting on how powerless he once was, Hero feels he now has the strength to achieve his dreams. Reaching out to Hibana, he offers to fulfill their promise. Inspired by Hero's accomplishments, Hibana clasps his hand, pledging to be his sword in their quest to change the country's future. As they share this moment, Heath watches cautiously and questions Hero about cultivating the seeds and constructing the underground room. Hero confirms, and Heath, alarmed, asks if these achievements were possible through methods deemed forbidden by the church. Hero understands and, after a pause, admits it's all the work of alchemy. Heath and Hibana are shocked by his revelation. Heath warns of the danger if the church chooses to intervene. Undeterred, Hero explains he's fully aware of the risks. Having resolved to save his country no matter the cost, he is indifferent to the church's stance, feeling his duty lies in protecting those he loves. Seeing Hero's commitment, Heath recognizes that the boy before him has weighed the consequences carefully. With renewed determination, Heath pledges his full support. Hibana embraces Hero, declaring that even knowing the truth of his alchemy, her faith in him remains unwavering. Instead, her resolve has only strengthened to defend Hero against any who stand in his way. Grateful for their support, Hero decides to lean on his friends. Hibana suggests becoming his knight and wonders if he can appoint her right away. Heath interjects, explaining that a formal ceremony is required. Hibana grumbles at the formalities, but Hero agrees, stressing the importance of her official title to gain the respect needed to carry out her duties freely. Hibana requests a temporary sword, though Hero dislikes the idea, wanting something exceptional for her. She proposes that Hero craft a special sword using alchemy, which is exactly what he had in mind. He dreams of creating a blade that could rival even the knight's holy swords. Hibana reminds him that only 12 knights wield these prestigious weapons, making them an honor to possess. Determined, Hero resolves to craft a weapon that would symbolize his country's revival. Taking her current sword as a base, he promises to forge her a new blade. Examining her sword, Hero notes its incredible alloy and expert tempering, feeling like he's stumbled on a shortcut to bridge skill and time in crafting such a weapon. He asks Hibana if she has any preferences, and she requests a light, swift blade suited to her slashing style. She lists additional requests, and Hero takes his stance, prepared to create her blade. Using his alchemy, Hero replicates her sword instantly, astounding them with the full scope of his power. To test it, Hibana slashes at a statue, slicing it cleanly with no resistance. She's thrilled with the weapon's quality, a sentiment Hero shares, impressed by her strength. Hibana notes that she didn't enhance her strength with magic, which pleasantly surprises Hero. Eagerly, Hibana asks if she can keep the sword, but Hero, with a grin, claims it as his own. Seeing her disappointment, he promises to craft her an even better blade using rare materials. His words brighten her spirits, and she becomes excited for the weapon he'll create just for her. After their training, Hero reflects on how important it is to live up to Hibana's expectations, especially after seeing her genuine smile. He gathers the essential materials needed to craft her sword, knowing that materials even stronger than mithril exist. Hero has collected claws and fangs from the monsters he used to create his fertilizer. These parts are naturally fortified, giving them rigidity akin to metal and a high durability ideal for weapon crafting. Monster remains, when used in weapons, can conduct mana similarly to monster abilities, which is why they make such effective materials. Hero contemplates that while monster remnants can forge weapons of immense power, magic swords often carry a dark miasma that gradually harms the wielder. Despite the risk, Some warriors willingly endure this for the weapon's strength. Hero knows, however, that alchemy basics include purifying this miasma, ensuring Hibana won't suffer any harmful effects. Using his alchemical tool, a crystal orb, Hero neutralizes the miasma, absorbing its harmful elements to repurpose in other alchemical experiments. With the miasma extracted, Hero uses a specialized alchemical hammer to break down the purified monster remains, dissolving them into a manageable substance. Hero has sourced his materials from three specific monsters: the Edgebear, Hound Dog, and Saber Eagle, each with remarkable qualities. He meticulously combines their sharpest parts, achieving a unique synergy that enhances the final weapon's strength. Drawing on his informer skill, which helps him perfect blending ratios and processing techniques, he ensures the sword will rival even the holy blades in battle. Once the powdered mixture is complete, Hero begins shaping the blade according to Hibana's preferences. The result is a refined, elegant sword with an almost ornamental quality, yet lethal efficiency. For the final touch, Hero applies directionality to the blade to improve its swing and speed, finishing with the enchanting process, a critical part of alchemy that channels mana to amplify the sword's power manifold. Hero infuses the blade with the blessing of Slice, optimizing its slashing speed and sharpness. Satisfied with the result, he feels confident Hibana will be pleased. The scene shifts to the royal palace, where Hibana Crawford is formally appointed as the Princess Knight. She solemnly pledges to protect Hero, expressing gratitude for the beautiful and masterfully crafted sword he gifted her. Hero, observing her expression, wonders if she feels disappointed, though Hibana reassures him that she is merely nervous in front of the crowd. Hero finds it puzzling, suspecting that he might be a bit of an awkward prince in such formal settings. Nonetheless, he feels reassured by her presence, knowing her skills will live up to her title as his protector. Hero also notes that a few figures in the room seem to recognize Hibana's strength and may harbor intentions of using her talents for their own agendas. He has no plans to let anyone else claim her loyalty, viewing her as both a close friend and a partner in their shared commitment. Now that his preparations are in place, Hero feels ready to pursue his plans, though he remains vigilant of his two brothers, who are quietly scheming behind the scenes. Hibana smiles with gratitude as she thanks Hero for appointing her as his knight and vows to always treasure the sword he made for her. Her tone then shifts playfully as she presents him with a unique vessel meant for his informer magic, a small accessory bag. She explains that every time he uses his informer ability, it looks like he's speaking to himself, making him seem lonely and even a bit pitiful. She suggests he pour his magic into this vessel instead, as it will make the process less awkward. Hero, though slightly annoyed, accepts it. Hibana leaves him with the vessel, teasing him a bit more with the idea of a magic doll that'll listen to him. Hibana then heads off to practice her swings in his office, insisting she must stay by his side at all times. Hero groans inwardly, imagining the constant thudding sound, but Hibana is resolute. She's determined to be the strongest fighter for his sake. She mentions there are at least 8 swordsmen who currently surpass her, and she plans to train until she can outmatch them. Hero muses over her ambition and finds her confidence refreshing. Hibana seems certain she can best at least 4 of the legendary Golden Knights. Hero thinks it's fortunate to have a bronze knight like Hibana by his side, something that can't be bought or bribed. Curious if she's satisfied with her new weapon, he asks her opinion. Hibana lights up, enthusiastically declaring that she feels so powerful with it that it almost feels like cheating. She's confident her sword will defeat any opponent not wielding a holy or magic sword. Hero, impressed by her conviction, advises her to master the weapon and proposes a new challenge, a training trip outside the castle. However, before they can slip away, Hero's older brother Agatha intercepts them. The second prince, Agatha Caltarossa, has already heard rumors about Hero's recent activities and wheat experiments. Agatha, suspicious of his intentions, pointedly asks Hero where he plans to go next. Hero realizes his brother has already pieced together parts of his plan and likely knows about the wheat preparations. He thinks it'll be tough to keep his full intentions hidden from Agatha. Agatha, mistrustful, hints that Hero's innovations are more about currying favor with the townspeople than genuine efforts to help the country. Hero denies this and clarifies that his focus is solely on making the kingdom prosperous, with no desire for the throne. Responding coldly, Agatha accuses him of harboring secret ambitions to seize power. Hero counters, repeating firmly that he has no interest in the throne and in fact wishes for Agatha to succeed as king if he desires it. This admission catches Agatha off guard, and Hero presses the point by acknowledging his brother's strengths, admitting that Takumu's strategic and leadership abilities far outshine his own. Agatha listens closely, initially skeptical, but Hero's words leave him considering whether his brother is sincere. Agatha acknowledges, however reluctantly, that Hero's efforts haven't gone unnoticed. In fact, they've even stirred curiosity and uncertainty among the people. Hero wonders what his true purpose is, so Agatha gets straight to the point. Agatha conveys Takumu's message, which is to remind the boy that he will be coming of age to fulfill his royal duty to slay monsters. Agatha notes that while the boy has managed to acquire a knight, he actually needs an entire brigade. Hero, however, appears unconcerned, confident in his own strength. Agatha notices Hibana's irritation. She's poised, ready to confront the second prince at any moment. Agatha strolls over to her and nonchalantly suggests that she become his knight instead. Hibana is stunned, while Hero suspects it's her presence that prompted Agatha's visit. Agatha insists he can offer her better conditions than his brother. Hibana bluntly refuses, declaring her loyalty to the third prince. As Agatha turns to leave, he proclaims his intent to support his younger brother, regardless of the path he chooses. Hero realizes Agatha didn't come to obstruct him, but to lend his support. Agatha emphasizes that Takumu becoming king would pose complications, which is why he's prepared to back Hero instead. Hero ponders if Agatha aims to leverage him as a means to gain an advantage over Takumu in the inevitable succession. Yet Hero knows he has little choice but to rely on Agatha, so he can also use him for his own ambitions. He carefully weighs the pros and cons and then tells Agatha that having him as an ally could be advantageous. Agatha takes this in and decides to wait for Hero's final decision. Hibana voices her displeasure toward Agatha, who showed disrespect toward her prince. Hero explains that Agatha is sincere, despite appearances, but Hibana remains unconvinced. Hero understands that while Agatha keeps his promises, Hibana dislikes how he frequently undermines Hero. Fully aware of the strain between the three brothers, Hero acknowledges the truth in her words, reflecting on their divided relationship. He recalls how his father had once returned with him from an unknown place, which has since made Agatha and Takumu resistant to fully embracing him into the family, especially as a potential king. Hibana reflects on Hero's discussion with Agatha and questions his interest in the throne. Hero confirms he has no desire to be king, finding greater freedom in remaining a prince. He reasons that ruling would consume his time, preventing him from practicing alchemy, so he intends to let his brothers handle the burdens of leadership. Hibana, however, sees things differently, believing Hero may still end up as king. Hero wonders if she secretly hopes for that outcome. Hibana assures him her intuition is as sharp as a knight's. With no more delay, Hero tells her he plans to have her use her abilities to their fullest. When they reach the awe-inspiring magical forest, Hibana realizes she'll have ample opportunity to fight and enhance her training. The magic forest is home to powerful monsters who often emerge to wreak havoc on the surrounding lands, a constant threat to the kingdom of Kaltarossa. Hibana doubts the durability of their disguises, feeling the attire offers little protection in combat. Hiro reassures her that while the garments appear lightweight, they're fortified by his alchemy for protection. He specially reinforced their clothes with material from an insect monster, weaving in enchantments for extra defense. The outfits are so tough that even Hibena's blade can't pierce through Hiro's clothing. Naturally, the prince is irritated that Hibana stabbed him just to test it, thinking that he'd be dead if he were wearing ordinary clothes. Hiro considers that he'll need to work on her personality since, as she is now, she'll likely cause him endless trouble. Hibana also admits she finds it easy to rely on Hiro as her childhood friend, a remark he finds deeply gratifying. As they continue, Hibana asks why they came to the forest. Hiro explains their two goals for the quest, starting with the mission to assess the resources within this ominous woodland. Hibana wonders if there's some type of ore here. Hiro clarifies that he's actually interested in the various monsters, which he considers the true resources. Hibana is stunned by his unusual view on materials. Hiro then reminds her of the fertilizer he made, the clothes he crafted, and the sword he forged, all created from monster-sourced materials. Hiro notes that alchemy provides an efficient way to use monster remains, making them the country's most plentiful resource, especially given its lack of natural materials. Hibana acknowledges his ingenuity, and Hiro advises her to run if she ever feels threatened. He reminds her that the monsters here are far more dangerous than any they've previously faced, as these ones are fiercely territorial. Hibana declares she has no intention of fleeing and eagerly charges forward to finally wield her special blade. Hiro entrusts her with the task, and together they advance toward the barricade structure. Hiro understands that the true challenge lies ahead, and Hibana is curious about his other goal besides harvesting monster resources. He tells her they need something essential to save their country. Hibana is puzzled by his cryptic words, as the guards at the barricade question Hiro's presence in such a treacherous place. They advise him against proceeding further. Hiro insists he's skilled with his sword, and his knight is in a league of her own. Confident, he demands they clear a path, saying it's vital for their nation's future. Under the pressure from the third prince, the guards allow them through, hoping and praying for their safety. At that exact moment, however, the first prince, Takumu, and his battalion return from their mission. Hiro is less than thrilled to see his brother so soon, but realizes he has no choice in the matter. Towering above, Lord Takumu Kaltarossa steps forward and fixes Hiro with a hard stare. Hiro hadn't expected to encounter his brother here and tries to make conversation by asking if Takumu's been busy with monster slaying. Takumu interrupts, saying the battlefield ahead isn't for someone with uncertain intentions. Hiro replies confidently, saying he's fully prepared for the risks. Takumu tells him he can do as he likes, but warns he won't be rescuing him from any trouble. He admits, though, that Hiro stands a chance with his new knight. Hiro confirms that Hibana is exceptional in battle. Takumu cuts to the chase, revealing he knows Hiro has joined forces with Agata. Hiro is stunned that Takumu learned of this so quickly, as it only happened a few hours ago. The informer suggests that Agata himself may have tipped Takumu off as a warning. Takumu remarks that their country won't be able to thrive until the right moment arises. Hiro wonders if his brother is hinting at an invasion. He's aware that other nations never bothered to conquer their country due to its barren lands. However, he recalls that their people once had fertile land and a larger population, but they were swiftly overtaken by a rival nation, leaving them with their current territory, which borders the magic forest. Hero recognizes the risks that would come if their land regained value, as neighboring countries might invade to seize the resources for themselves. With these concerns in mind, Hero tells Takumu that he understands his ambition to reclaim their once flourishing territories. However, he doubts they have the military power to withstand foreign forces, as they could barely defend their current state. Hero knows Takumu is focused on capturing the region that once provided food for the country, as regaining that area would address their population and hunger issues, solving two critical problems. Despite this, Hero is aware that after reclaiming the land, they'll face severe retaliation without a certain path to victory, given they'd be facing forces twice their size. He recognizes some logic in Takumu's strategy and senses that his brother has a plan to secure an edge. Takumu speaks up, stating that their goal is within reach so long as his brothers don't interfere. He warns that if their enemies detect their preparations and strike before they're ready, all hope will be lost. Takumu goes so far as to declare he'll cut down his younger brothers if they dare to obstruct him. Takumu is convinced that he alone has the ability to save the nation, believing his brothers have crucial roles to fulfill after him. With an intimidating aura, Takumu warns Hero to stay out of his way. After this tense encounter, Hero exhales with relief, aware that Takumu won't hesitate to strike them down if they cross him. Hero has no plans to abandon his own objectives and knows that while Takumu's approach isn't wrong, it's dangerously aggressive. Agata too is aware of Takumu's risky intentions, which is why he's treading carefully and lending his support to Hero, understanding that their chances are slim in a direct confrontation. Agata believes that even if they're victorious, sustaining peace afterward will be near impossible. Cautious by nature, Agata feels the nation will spiral into chaos under Takumu's rule, which is why he's allied with Hero despite their mutual dislike. Agata aims to safeguard the country through diplomatic strategies, such as building alliances with powerful nations for protection during war. In this plan, Takumu's hostility poses a significant obstacle. The irony of the brothers' enmity is that both are ultimately striving to save the country in their own ways. Hero reflects that in the end, all three brothers share the same ultimate goal. He notices Hibana deep in thought. She comments on Takumu's formidable strength. Hiro reminds her that Takumu is indeed the strongest person in their country. Hibana imagines Takumu taking down a golden knight single-handedly if he wielded a better weapon. Hiro then asks if she thinks she could stand a chance if Takumu decided to eliminate them. Hibana considers it briefly before admitting she wouldn't last beyond 3 minutes. Hiro is dismayed by how slim their odds are and thinks they're better off avoiding a fight entirely. He wants to prevent a clash, especially because he values Hibana's safety. Hiro recognizes that Agata's support is crucial for advancing his inventions, while Takumu's military might will be essential once their nation becomes prosperous. He hopes to strengthen Takumu's forces by supplying them with powerful, alchemically enhanced weapons. Like Takumu, he also wants to reclaim the fertile land, adding another reason for him to seek an alliance with Takumu's military strength down the line. Hiro acknowledges that compared to his own abilities, his brothers are remarkable in their own ways, yet he's also aware that they're selfish and struggle with teamwork. Hibana points out the last rays of sunlight barely piercing the forest's shade, suggesting it's time to hunt monsters. Returning to her earlier question about Hiro's secondary objective, she asks him to elaborate. Hiro reveals that their second reason for the journey is salt. Hibana is startled to learn that her prince needs salt from this perilous forest and wonders if there are any mines nearby. Hero explains that beyond the forest lies an ocean, a location marked by the legendary alchemist. Hibana, thrilled by the idea, imagines the vast salt supply they could harvest from the sea, noting that it would make an ideal export since neighboring countries only have rock salt. Hero explains their objective is to locate this ocean and create a safer passage to it. The existence of lurking monsters along their path is an inconvenience, and standard compasses are of little use here. To counter this, Hero has created a magic pin that, when used with paired magic stones, allows them to track their current position. Hero is pleased they've confirmed the pin's effectiveness, while Hibana senses an approaching monster. Hero is surprised at her heightened awareness and sees this as an ideal opportunity. Initially, Hero intends to lead the battle and demonstrate his abilities. He summons his mithril and refined gunpowder to conjure a powerful magic bow. Using his analytical skills, he has also transformed his right eye into a magical one, granting him exceptional perception and multiple types of vision. Activating X-ray vision, he scans the monster's internal structure and observes its advancing attack. Hero mentions he can even see the direction of the wind, then fires a charged shot, releasing an arrow that hits the beast with explosive force, leaving nothing but ashes. Hibana is astonished by his ability to predict even the monster's smallest movements and obliterate it with such power. Hero explains that the magic he infused in the arrow allowed for this formidable impact, subduing the powerful creature. With more monsters advancing, Hero decides to try out his magic spear, surprising Hibana, who had thought of him solely as a swordsman. Hero corrects her, stating that as an alchemist, he is willing to use any available weapon, including a spear for mid-range combat. His plan is to adapt his weaponry based on each task. The growling monsters prepare to attack, leaping forward, but Hero deftly stabs those within reach using his spear, proclaiming that his magimental refinement grants him the strength of 1,000 weapons. Hibana, amazed, thinks his skills seem almost unfair. Hero assures her that her single blade is far superior, as his switching between weapons could sometimes hinder his speed. Suddenly, Hibana faces a monstrous bear, readying herself for a fierce fight. She charges forward, slicing through the monster's limbs one by one before delivering a decisive blow, severing its head. As the beast falls, Hibana states she prefers using her one mastered weapon to take down all her opponents. Hero notes her movements, which were both beyond his perception and beautifully precise. He wonders aloud if Kinar harbors other knights as powerful as her, to which Hibana responds that there are 8 knights stronger than she is. Hero dismisses any immediate concern about Kinar, as their kingdom currently has no involvement with them. However, he considers that they might try to acquire the technologies he's been developing. He knows their country must grow strong and prosperous, which is why he's training for battles that may lie ahead. Hero is determined to prepare a nation powerful enough to rival even Kinar and become unmatched. Hibana admires his lofty aspirations, and Hero decides to keep the bear's claws, placing them in his miasma-resistant bag for safekeeping. Hibana asks why Hero can't simply remove the miasma, to which he explains that doing so would consume a large amount of mana, something he can't risk depleting in such a dangerous forest. Hibana hoists the miasma-resistant bag, effortlessly managing the 30-kilogram weight. Eager for an even stronger monster, Hibana then listens as Hero shares information about their last fight. They had just faced a Blade Bear, an A-rank monster that usually demands extreme caution. Hibana confidently remarks that they overcame it easily, which reassures Hero of her strength, making him feel secure with her by his side. As they reach the ocean, Hibana is thrilled by the waves, feeling their journey has paid off. Hero, moved by their success, sheds a tear of joy, recognizing the ocean's salt as the key to freeing them from dependency on neighboring nations. He quickly gathers himself and asks Hibana how much weight she can carry. She replies with ease, saying she's currently handling 50 kilograms and can manage 100 on her back. Hero decides they should bring back 100 kilograms of salt. To Hibana's surprise, she thinks finding the ocean itself is enough of a victory, but Hero insists it's better to seize the opportunity and collect as much as they can. Thinking ahead, Hero calculates that with an average person consuming 1.5 kilograms of salt per year, 15 similar trips would supply their entire nation. While Hibana goes off to catch some fish and enjoy a swim, Hero sets up his salt extraction plan. Using alchemy, he forms a pool on the beach and rigs up an improvised water hose made from monster intestines to pump seawater into the pool. Hibana is amazed by the flowing water, asking if it's magic. Hero clarifies it's more scientific than magical. He then refines the seawater into salt, a process Hibana realizes will be draining for him. After some time, they manage to yield salt, but Hero continues to add seawater to the pool, explaining that seawater is only about 4% salt. To gather enough salt, he needs to process large amounts of water. Hibana watches Hero pour in energy, ensuring he stays hydrated and reminding him not to overdo it. He reassures her that they're nearly done and asks her to collect the salt using a special expandable bag. With diligent effort, they finally gather the salt. Hibana, impressed, asks if making salt has always been this easy. Hero tells her that under normal conditions, it would take at least a week of manual labor, which leaves Hibana curious about his magical training to maintain such stamina. Hero reflects that mana can't be trained, it's determined at birth, and he was born with an unusually high mana reserve. Combined with his skill, Informer, which consumes mana to provide valuable information, he sees it as a blessing. Hero insists on conserving his mana by gathering the salt manually rather than using magic, despite its slower pace. Hibana embraces the task, seeing it as a chance to strengthen herself. She shares a rumor about a prince who trains by helping peasants, and Hero finds the tale amusing. Inspired, Hibana expresses her own desire to help others while building her strength. Hero acknowledges her dedication, suggesting that her efforts are making her a true heroine. As they prepare to head back to the kingdom, Hero thanks Hibana for her incredible strength and loyalty, recognizing that her endurance made their mission possible. Touched by his gratitude, Hibana appreciates their success, knowing they now possess a resource that could secure their nation's future. The journey back through the dense, eerie forest seems unusually calm with no monster attacks. Hero reveals he had used a special perfume, a monster repellent due to their fatigue. Hibana wishes they'd used it earlier, but Hero explains he intended to observe the types of monsters they'd encounter, only resorting to the repellent when they'd expended a lot of energy. The trip revealed 11 different monster types, with 3 unaffected by the perfume, valuable information that could guide future expeditions. The implications excite Hero. This repellent could allow soldiers to safely traverse the forest, making it another breakthrough to help his country. Hibana notes how much they achieved, discovering the ocean, securing salt, testing the monster repellent, and mapping the forest's dangers. Hero, with more plans in mind, tells her that these are just the beginning. Upon reaching the kingdom's barricades, they're greeted by Takumu's worried guards. Hero urgently instructs them to send a message to the castle announcing his discovery of salt, signaling to both his brothers the enormous potential he's unlocked for their kingdom. In the castle, Agatha and Takumu stand silently before the heaps of salt. Hero enters the room, apologizing for arriving late. Agatha is irritated, finding it ironic that Hero, the one who summoned them, is the last to arrive. Feeling the tension in the air, Hero realizes that each of them brings a unique vision for changing their country. Takumu, the first prince, is a military strategist aiming to secure salvation through force. Agatha, the second prince, is a shrewd diplomat seeking salvation by aligning their nation as a vassal under a stronger one. Then there's Hero Caltarossa, the third prince, who lacks the notable skills of his brothers and serves as a fallback. However, Hero's recent acquisition of the invaluable resource salt has given him a reason to step into their shared aspirations. Takumu quickly demands to know how his younger brother obtained the salt. Hero, after catching his breath, explains he sourced it from an ocean on the far side of the magic forest. Skeptical, Takumu questions if he's being truthful. Hero launches into an earnest explanation, highlighting the devastation caused by salt shortages, which have led to countless deaths and the loss of valuable treasures spent on importing salt from foreign lands. He understands that without this vital resource, their dreams of a better future are impossible, as people would continue to die of starvation. His deepest wish was for them to secure their own salt, and thus he refuses to deceive his brothers. Hero passionately asserts his honesty. Impressed by the sincerity in Hero's words, Takumu praises him. Taken aback, Hero is struck by this unexpected support from Takumu, the future king. Sensing the moment is right, Hero makes a request. He tells Takumu that only he and Hibana can safely navigate the forest, a skill that few others possess. Hero knows that their reliance on just two individuals would be a risk, so he asks for Takumu's soldiers. To his surprise, the first prince readily agrees, promising to select elite soldiers and begin the journey immediately. Takumu even requests Hero to accompany them. Hero feels a mixture of amazement and disappointment at how easily his brothers accept him, but Agatha steps in, reminding them of the forest's dangers, filled with monstrous threats. Hero acknowledges Agatha's concern, interpreting it as natural, especially since Agatha isn't actively involved in their efforts. To reassure him, Hero reveals his special magic tools, a compass to guide them and a monster-repelling perfume. Hibana also presents documents detailing strategies to handle the various beasts they might encounter. Takumu supports Hero, pointing out that his younger brother has already proven his capability by venturing alone into the forest. He then questions Agatha's confidence in Takumu's troops, as if offended by Agatha's doubts. Agatha counters, suggesting that Hero's story could be fabricated. Takumu retorts, arguing that Hero's salt acquisition and the discovery of an ocean beyond the treacherous forest are undeniable achievements, all for the people's welfare. With little choice left, Agatha reluctantly agrees. Though their discussion has gone smoothly, Agatha raises a serious concern. He questions how Hero knew of the ocean beyond the forest, implying that Hero wouldn't risk such a dangerous journey without solid information. He's also suspicious of how Hero managed to get the salt within a single day, as well as his mysterious tools. Both Takumu and Agatha look to Hero, awaiting his response to these pressing questions. Agreeing to follow their conditions, Hero requests that the guards leave the room, making this privacy his main stipulation for the conversation. Yet, even after they exit, Hero remains uneasy, aware that they linger outside. He recalls his own insecurities, reminded that he is just a commoner his father chose to adopt. His brothers have often questioned both his bloodline and what qualities he brings to the table. Moreover, each each prince has his own distinct approach to saving their nation, making them in truth rivals. Hero realizes he must align with his brothers and that revealing his secret is the only way forward. Hero knows his brothers share a desire to save their kingdom, which is why he is determined to gain their support by appealing to their mutual love for Caltarossa. With that resolve, he readies himself to prove his unique powers are essential to the country's survival. Hero boldly reveals that he has inherited the legacy of a legendary alchemist, which grants him unusual abilities and knowledge about the ocean across the magic forest. Takumu speaks first, reminding him that the church condemns alchemy. Agatha adds that it's even more problematic, as the church would not stop at Hero's execution. Hero argues passionately that he's using his powers for the kingdom's salvation, knowing that without his aid, the country faces ruin. Hero is aware that his brothers understand the gravity of the situation. He reflects on their strategies and realizes that none are entirely sufficient. He describes Takumu's plan to form a brigade of magic sword knights to launch attacks on neighboring territories. Though their forces are strong, they lack the massive military advantage needed, and Hero believes that over time, the miasma from the enchanted swords would erode Takumu's troops, rendering them ineffective. Hero concludes that Takumu's solution would ultimately be short-lived. Turning to Agatha, Hero outlines the alternative plan, submitting to a powerful nation as a subordinate, thus securing a degree of salvation through diplomatic compromise. Agatha is convinced this is the only feasible path forward. However, Hero points out that even this solution would fall short, as they've already sacrificed Mary to sustain the country. Becoming a vassal would only lead to further losses, reducing them to mere slaves with nothing left. Agatha counters, confident that his diplomacy will prevent such an outcome, but Hero insists that despite his brother's best efforts, the nation's future remains bleak, achieving only a temporary reprieve. With firm conviction, Hero dismisses both of his brother's plans. Agatha challenges Hero, asking if he intends to rely on alchemy for their salvation. Hero confirms this, explaining that alchemy enabled him to procure salt. To demonstrate, he unveils a marvel of alchemy. The maid presents a platter of savory white bread. Both Agatha and Takumu are taken aback, realizing their younger brother has somehow managed to cultivate wheat in Caltarossa, a feat once thought impossible. Hero underscores that this bread, like the salt, is the result of alchemical mastery. He showcases other enchanted creations, each made possible by alchemy's wonders. Takumu takes a bite and is stunned by the exquisite taste, unlike anything he's known in Caltarossa. Agatha also samples the bread, astonished that it surpasses even the best imports from other nations. Both brothers are left in awe, realizing the remarkable potential of alchemy. Hero claims that alchemy has more to prove where that came from. It will change people's lives. To demonstrate its powers, he tells Hibana to demonstrate her sword. She's okay with doing that as long as the brothers will return it. Inspecting her amazing weapon, the hero's brothers are shocked that a magic sword without miasma even exists. It completely outclasses even their own. Hero is glad that his brothers are capable of judging the difference with a mere glance. He adds that it was made with a touch of alchemy and is prepared to remove the miasma from every single magic sword of Takumu's battalion. In fact, he promises to make them better as weapons of war. He repeats his claim, completely disregarding both Takumu's and Agatha's approach when it comes to saving the country. He doesn't like the way they think. Instead, Hero's confidence relies on alchemy and how it will improve the country. He persuades his brothers by emphasizing how much strength they could foster and protect themselves as long as they have alchemy by his side. His brothers quietly listen to the boy's words, who speak for the people of the country, who have suffered so much and deserve a chance to experience happiness. Instead of striving for the bare minimum, the boy wants to achieve total prosperity for the country. His brothers stand there listening quietly, The both of them break into an unending laughter, leaving the little boy staring blankly. He just can't place a finger on why they can't stop laughing. Takumu can't believe that his risky plan ended up being trash compared to his brother's alchemical powers. Agatha is the same, who thinks that they were trying so hard for no reason. They both support the boy's ambitions. Even Agatha thinks that their plans won't be much for the country, while he's out here planning for true salvation and prosperity. Agatha is happy, almost overjoyed that they get to be saved by someone they didn't expect, but at the same time he's angered. Hiro notes that he's holding back tears by his reaction. He tells them that he trusted his brothers and their efforts, which is why he felt easy revealing his plans. He doesn't want to carry the sole burden of both their sacrifices. So now he has a request for his brothers to help him instead. He boasts the power to make a better future, but lacks stunning leadership and power like his brother Takumu. At the same time, he lacks the negotiation tactics and persuasion ability of the sharp Agatha. Together, they could become a powerhouse instead of relying just on alchemy. He needs both their help to make the process flow smoothly for the prosperity of the country. Takumu and Agatha seem to find this request rather foolish because he just finished ridiculing him with his impressive solutions, but instead of playing the part of an actual hero, Hiro tells them that he wants his brothers to use his powers instead. He already trusts in both their powers, mind and body, so he wants them to use his powers while he stays in the shadows developing the country by supporting them in their ventures. They will both have the ability to judge for themselves if they want to become king, as Hiro has no interest in bearing the throne. The two brothers stare at each other at odds, but Takumu gets that he's speaking the truth. He doesn't have much of a choice but to follow his little brother's plans. In fact, he's happy to keep on leading the military operations from his side, and he will operate as a general instead of acting like a prince. The same goes for Agatha, who wants to support his brother, especially when he falls short in some aspects. He's happy to play the role of a minister for him in his grand ambitions. Their specific wording confuses the boy. Hiro asks what they're trying to say. Takumu and Agatha reveal that they're both uninterested in aiming for the throne now because they've left that spot for their little brother to achieve. They promise to keep his powers a secret. So long as he can aim for the prosperity of the country, they will support him with the best of their powers. In fact, both brothers ask for his assurance. Hiro experiences a jolt in his thoughts, and instead of being uncertain, he shakes his head and confirms that he will rely on his brothers. With that, all three of them come together as one. The three princes of the kingdom Caltarossa have united to achieve a common goal. Hiro believes that the path to the country's salvation begins from this moment onwards, as with their combined efforts, they will succeed. The following day, our boy is back in the forest after his long persuasion. Hiro has successfully persuaded both of his brothers, and Hibana is really proud of him for doing so. He doesn't enjoy those kinds of negotiations usually. Right now, Takumu's battle unit is cutting down the forest, based on the boy's instructions. He's very proud that Takumu ended up following his words, and the development of the country is heading in the right direction. His objective is to invent new things to help the country prosper using his alchemy skill. Jay will focus on nurturing the military services and perform domestic affairs using Agatha and Takumu. Since there are way too many tasks at once, Hiro would be unable to execute them all just by himself. He needed the help of his brothers, and so he's getting it in the most efficient way possible. Hiro comments that he can at least trust his two brothers because he has delegated the two tasks in which they excel the most. They are sure to perform a good job at what he's assigned. There's only one small problem, if at all, and that's the fact that his brothers ended up sacrificing themselves from the succession to the throne, all for the little boy's sake. Normally, Hero can see Agatha handling the usual business, since he's going to be bogged down for time anyway. Despite his struggles, Habana mentions the courage he displayed in front of his brothers. He acted like a true prince who was worried headstrong for his country. In fact, she wants to call him a king now, since he's gunning for the throne soon. Hero doesn't appreciate being addressed by royal names. Instead, he tells her to just call him Hero, as it suits him best. Hibana smiles and confirms that she'll stick to that name. Speaking of which, it's been a while since Hibana has seen the real king out in the open, just like us. Hero explains that his father's current state is a dire one. He has contracted a severe illness that has strapped him bedridden. The man has been in a coma for many years, helpless to do anything. Takumu has been the leading candidate for the king's throne and has performed military operations since, but now both of them have resigned their spots for the succession race, which means the role of the acting king has fallen upon Hero himself. There's the hopeful chance that his father will also wake up one day from his state. That's why there hasn't been a newly appointed king yet, but at the same time, since they don't have a proper king to lead the state, the country's instability has worsened into chaos. Hibana understands and bids him the best of luck to lead the country out of this mess. Hero explains that she's stuck with him too, since the more work he gets simultaneously, her work as an imperial guard will also increase. There's the case that he might end up racking a bounty over his head and will require Hibana's protection at all times. The warrior confirms that she has to train and sharpen her skills to become stronger. Currently, she's missing a sparring partner which is stagnating her growth. She wants someone to train her along and asks Hero if he's got someone in mind. Hiro thinks about it for a second, and his first thought is Takumu, who was also struggling to find a sparring partner for himself. Hibana absolutely loves the idea of training against someone like him. She wonders if Hiro is capable of defeating his older brother using the power of alchemy, to which Hiro confirms that he couldn't do much to him and that anything he pulls out of his arsenal would prove fruitless against his older brother, who is a sharpened fighter. He would eventually overcome Hiro's skills. The man doesn't even follow battle logic and merely overcomes any kind of battle gap, no matter how deep. He's just that strong. Hiro confirms that there's no way for Habana to win their fights either, and he's not holding back when he says that. Takumu has faced a life of hell from the moment he was born. He was the definition of a honed warrior who is also skilled in commanding his forces and nurturing them in practice. Most of all, his personal strength is a reliable indicator of his leadership, as they've even won against armies 5 times their own size thanks to Takumu's excellent leadership. Habana is now convinced that she'll eat dirt when fighting him, but she's still confident to take him on with her blade. Instead of getting afraid, she becomes excited instead. She has one more burning question to ask. It's the baked bread he cooked up. Just remembering its delicious texture and taste makes her happy. It was the best thing she ate all day. Hiro tells her that he's got someone undercover working for him and he'll introduce her soon. Hibana takes critical offense that it's a girl she doesn't know about. Hiro is in hot waters and clarifies that he doesn't have a girlfriend, so she doesn't have anything to worry about in that department. Takumu comes around, interrupting their conversation to ask if they're following the right path. Hiro confirms that they're indeed going the right way. His plan was to show his brother the location of the ocean, but apparently Takumu had plans of his own because his men brought a ton of luggage on them. Takumu confirms that they'll set camp at the beach because of the time it would take to get the salt. Takumu's end goal is to help regular citizens collect the salt on the beach and provide them adequate protection using his guards. It's a nice plan for the future, especially when you realize that this country doesn't even have 50 soldiers in their army. The thing is, the part-time troops work the fields and really don't have time to spare doing training or practice. Instead of bogging down the full-time troops, it would be way better to construct a camp and let the citizens handle the salt collecting process. Takumu asks his brother if it's possible to construct a road using his alchemy skill, since it's tough to walk when it comes to navigating around trees in the forest. There's also the difficulty of monsters attacking in blind spots. It's only a battleground advantageous to the monsters of the forest, so it would be better for the humans if a proper road was made. Normally, it would take many years to build a road inside the magic forest, but with Hero's powers, it may just be possible. The boy considers his brother's suggestion and recognizes the need for a road, especially with the salt carriage in mind. Their first objective is to line up with enough fish to help the soldiers eat well and survive. Hero intends to make a port soon too. A road is still necessary, the kind that could fit large horse carriages and carry all sorts of transportation goods. If it's a safe passage on top, they would never have to worry about monsters either. However, in the process of constructing this road, they'll have to deal with monsters as well as deforestation of the trees to level the ground. With a total distance of 20 kilometers in total, it's a really tough job, even for the skilled alchemist that he is. It's risky from every perspective. Suddenly, Hero reaches an epiphany as he recognizes the flaws in his initial thought process. After all, there's no need to take so many risks and cross over the magic forest in the first place. Their primary objective is to get to the beach no matter the route. Takumu sees his little brother just yapping away to himself while Hibana is getting used to the treatment. An excited Hero has finally come up with a master plan. He's confident he can create something worth their expectations just before winter arrives. An inquisitive Takumu asks him if he's really sure about what he's saying, because winter is in 3 months. The boy confirms that he can pull it off, and he's so sure that he calls it a promise. A skeptical Hibana glares at him because she feels like he's plotting something nasty again. Hero tells her to just wait and see what he comes up with. Arriving at the beach at last, Hero and troops of Takumu are shocked to see it before their eyes. It's even more beautiful than they imagined. Takumu is shocked, while Hero states that they arrived later than intended. Still, it was good enough that they got here, and that's what Hibana thinks. She's amazed by the might of the Caltarossa brothers. Takumu's men had never seen something like this before. They could practically smell the salt inside. They want to jump inside and experience the freshness of the ocean. Their playful and carefree attitude surprises Hero, who wonders if these battle-hardened soldiers are really the elites he thought they would be. They're all excited like children. Takumu allows them permission to enjoy as much as they like, as long as they can set up the camps first. The soldiers get to work, murmuring about the salt water and wondering what the experience would be like. They set up the foundation of the camps and happily lay the tents, as noted by Hibana. Hero also smiles because he can see why they would be excited by the beach. His brother Takumu invites both of them to come and enjoy fishing while his men are working. After all, if the resources are there, they have no need to eat their rations. Instead, they should feast on the delicacies of the ocean. As planned, they decide to fish for a while. Hero unexpectedly catches a really big one right out of the water. Since no one has discovered this place ever before, fishing seems really easy as they take the bait without question. Hibana captures her own fish and realizes they might have to remove poison from it since it's dangerous. Takumu, on the other hand, thinks they shouldn't be so scared of little poison, which leads to Hero questioning just what kind of inhuman training he went through to believe that. Hero and Hibana are genuinely having fun, while his brother Takumu is taking note of this interaction. He curiously tells the boy that while he may have entrusted himself to work under him, the same doesn't go for his soldiers. The elite warriors have yet to accept him, as they only trust Takumu as their leader. Hero acknowledges the fact that they follow him for his strength, so it would never be possible for his subjects to obey him. Still, Takumu senses the urge for the boy to act. Empty words won't be enough to convince his soldiers. The only language those people understand is the language of power. Hiro gets the explanation, but he doesn't really understand how he is supposed to act. He calmly suggests the prospect of dueling it out, maybe as a way to show the soldiers that he's also capable of strength. But Takumu takes this feeble suggestion seriously, too seriously, in fact. He confirms that it would be ideal to duel, while his little brother is already seeing death flags coming his way. Obviously, he's not surviving this match, not in many lifetimes. Takumu happily questions if he's got a way to defeat him with his alchemy skill. Hiro, of course, thinks it's impossible to do that. Takumu confirms that it's exactly as he thinks, but if they really give it a shot and manipulate the outcome of the match, his soldiers would immediately sense that they're being deceived. So Takumu thinks they should have a real duel, but instead of Hiro fighting for his life, the Imperial Guard, meaning Hibana, should take his place instead. All she has to do is defeat him eventually and prove Hiro's power. After all, her strength as a knight represents the strength of the king. It seems really easy to say, but in reality, even Hibana is unashamed to admit that she's way weaker than Takumu. The man himself confirms that he's willing to train her for that very reason. Hearing his offer, Hibana jumps with joy. Takumu's goal is to make sure Hiro rises to power as much as he can, so that's why he doesn't want his Imperial Guard to be strong at all times. Hibana's singular objective is to train under his supervision and eventually surpass Takumu's strength, becoming more reliable than even him. Takumu teases her a little, but she has no fears and doesn't mind accepting the mere difference between their strengths. Instead of feeling jealous, she's excited more than ever, as this has allowed her the opportunity to become even stronger. Takumu likes this answer and claims that it will still take her a while to get stronger. Unfortunately, Hiro doesn't have too much time to wait, so he lays out his proposal to fight Hibana in exactly 1 week's time. Hiro will have to use his powers to strengthen Hibana's weapons as much as he can during that time span. It will serve the ultimate goal of gaining Takumu's and his men's acknowledgement, and with their combined powers, they could perhaps take him. Both are thrilled to take him up on this offer. Takumu confirms that it's also his trial to test his little brother. After all, he did say that he would use the best of his alchemy skills to help develop the country. It's going to be a miraculous feat, so the best way to prove his words is by defeating Takumu himself and performing a miracle. The brute warrior drills this warning into his head. Hiro has no choice but to accept his terms and claims that he will do what he must to impress his brother. One of Takumu's men comes to confirm that they've finished setting up camp. He goes away to assist them, leaving Hiro and Hibana to talk about the fight ahead. The challenge seems difficult by itself. The concept of winning against an opponent like his brother is impossible. Previously, Hibana once confidently stated she could withstand Takumu for 3 minutes in battle. That means at her current rate, she has no shot of actually winning. The best she could do is buy time. Hiro knows that while they'll still be training together, it's not going to be enough to mitigate the giant gap between their strength. But the impossibility of the challenge makes it exciting for the young alchemist, who is already coming up with different ideas as to how he will overcome his brother. It's only by the work of a miraculous weapon that they'll win the fight after all. Hiro is pumped up and ready to start building the best equipment for Hibana. The soldiers are enjoying their dinner, while Hiro is helping them understand instructions and following proper steps to start excavating the salt. Hiro has helped write a proper manual for the construction of the tools and wants them to focus on making them soon. He has to leave the heavy lifting into the hands of the soldiers, as Takumu and Hibana, as well as Hiro, will all be busy tomorrow. Currently, even Hiro can sense the distance between him and Takumu's soldiers, who are hesitant in following him. Hibana asks if he's going to use the same tool from last time to excavate the salt. Hiro explains that they're required to collect it without the usage of magic, so now he's adopting a new approach for the soldiers to follow without using any magic. Hibana enjoys the fish while Hiro reminds her that they've got other things to worry about as well. For what it's worth, Hiro believes in Takumu's words. He knows that if he fails to make Hibana reach the level of competency with his magic, then it spells the limitations for his alchemy skill too. It's unrealistic to use alchemy as an excuse to make the country stronger otherwise. That's why Hiro accepted the mighty challenge. Despite the vast difference in the two warriors, all that's left for him to do now is follow his words and actually put in the work necessary to defeat Takumu. He reflects how weapons are usually designed for those that are weak. In this case, a weapon with the ability to slay any opponent is ideal for him. There's the problem that even if they do succeed in advancing the country, there are people out there who could harm them and steal all their resources. That's why the necessity of strong people is required, as well as strong weapons to one day take care of those threats. The weapons should be capable of diminishing the enemy's strength, allowing Takumu and his men to take down the forces with their overwhelming might. This basic strategy is what Hiro is hoping for. Hibana is glad that he's going to be making her an amazing weapon. However, she's a knight and has her own pride of beating Takumu with her own strength. Hiro acknowledges that he wants the same for her. While it may not happen in the upcoming duel, her eventual training could lead Hibana to become strong enough to defeat him someday. She smiles, accepting his words. While she is uncertain just how long it would take her to defeat him, she's confident that one day it would happen, as otherwise it wouldn't be right to become the Imperial Knight of the King. Hibana emphasizes that she wants to become strong enough to earn Hiro's confidence. Her words leave him speechless for the moment, while he's glad that she's feeling confident about the situation. The situation seems awkward, so Hibana distracts him by asking about their plan regarding the second job. The idea of making a road from Caltarosa isn't just a piece of cake after all. Even Hibana believes that it's impossible for Hiro to pull something like that off in the span of 3 months. Hiro confirms that it's indeed possible, or else he wouldn't have volunteered for the task. Hibana is happy that he's operating with at least some plan in mind. In the end, it really comes down to the time management aspect of it. He can't make any progress this week, for example, since he will be busy making her weapon. But surprisingly, Hiro says he can. He's going to have the design aspect of the weapon done by tomorrow morning, and then he'll busy himself with the construction process. At the same time, he's going to need to think about the weapon while he's busy constructing. He'll find some time for the road during the day while he's thinking about the design of the weapon. Then at night, he'll take care of the testing aspect. It's quite the routine he's come up with. Hibana is impressed, but Hiro believes it's just his strong point to come up with blueprints and ideas. All he has to do now is execute the calculations and investigate for sharper details. Then he'll write it all down and the weapon will be made. He's going to return to the castle tomorrow morning, but before going, he needs Hibana to help him through and through. After all, they're going to navigate out of the magic forest, which is filled with dangerous monsters. Hibana will have to take care of them in the meantime, providing her with some level of training to do. The next day at noon, the couple arrives near the entrance of the magic forest. Hiro claims that he's already gotten the paperwork delegated to Agatha, so now the construction of the road should begin. Hibana wonders why they've yet to go inside the magic forest, as they're only standing at the entrance so far. Hiro declines and tells her that leveling the forest for a road would be quite cumbersome. His idea is to cast a different route. Hiro places his palm on the ground and enforces some of his energy inside, casting a small vortex which levels the ground. He then reveals that his idea is no longer to construct an actual road. He's building a tunnel that goes underground. Hibana thinks it's a much more ridiculous idea than laying out a path for the road. However, Hero thinks otherwise. He explains how alchemy allows manipulation of matter, which means sand and dirt fall into that category. All he's going to do is enforce his magic and create deeper holes. Her idea is to create an incline for the carriage to operate smoothly. Then after that, he's going to create a horizontal pathway in the direction of the ocean. With this method, they won't have to worry about the deforestation of the magic forest, and they also won't have to worry about the monsters distracting them from work. The other day, he used surveillance magic to check underground for water veins and didn't find any. Only one problem exists with the idea of building this tunnel, and those are monsters that have the ability to burrow underground. But Hero isn't too worried about those guys, since he's confident they can tackle that situation when the time comes. Hibana is amazed that he's capable of building an actual hole using alchemy. It's the work of a miracle just like his magic. Hero confirms that using this method, he created his underground workshop, so he's pretty confident with what he's doing so far. However, the scale of the operation was much smaller than what he's doing now. Hibana stares at the ceiling and fears that one day the weight will collapse on top of them. Hero tells her to freely experience the walls, as she'll notice they've all been reinforced strongly by his alchemy skill. They're stronger than bricks and waterproof on top. It's impossible for them to collapse. Hero's goal is to clear this passage, which would then allow for a safe transport between the town and the ocean instead of dangerously heading inside the magic forest. They'll be able to obtain fish alongside collecting salt. It will take care of the overfishing problem they have been experiencing in their lakes, helping improve meals and overall nutrition of the people. Hibana is most happy and excited to find him fulfilled with doing work for his people. She's actually surprised that he's got a boatload of mana for so many magic spells. Having this much mana came with Hero's birth. It was his only advantage. However, this process is taxing even for someone like him. According to his current plan, the requirement for the tunnel should allow for at least 2 carriages to pass through without much trouble. That kind of width is really demanding and consumes a ton of mana. Hibana wants to alleviate his burden, but unfortunately, she's pretty much useless right now. Hero tasks her with shoving the dirt and debris into the cart and returning it at the entrance. The cleanup part is a problem since Hero will always leave some dirt unrefined when making the walls. Hero wants to be efficient and wants to use the remaining dirt by collecting it and reusing it later. Hibana is thrilled to have been tasked with a role that she excels in. Hero advises her not to overburden herself, or else she'll become too exhausted for her training at night. However, this girl doesn't know how to pull the brakes. She just wants to go at it full speed. Even Hero is surprised she enjoys working so much. Hibana wants to use this exercise as a form of training. Hero is okay with that and realizes that he might have to assist her when she's completely exhausted. He focuses on digging a pathway while Hibana collects all the dirt and speed runs it all the way back. The both of them are hard at work doing each of their tasks. A while passes, they're both pretty exhausted. Hero concludes that this much should be enough for the day. After all, if he releases more mana, it's going to cost him the resources for her weapon. So far, they've dug 600 meters from the entrance. It's a good start for day 1. Hibana is glad they made some level of progress since she could feel the workload. Thankfully, because of her help, Hero was able to perform his best too. A question has been bothering the Imperial Knight. She's come to realize that the dirt transportation might get even more difficult every day, since there will be even more distance to cover from last time. Hero confirms that it's unfortunately true. They'll have to get rid of the dirt the more they dig deeper. Habana believes it's good since it will help her train more effectively. She's confident that they'll be able to wrap up the tunneling in 1 month, and since they have 3 full months to execute the job, they've got enough time. Well, that's what she thought at least, because Hero has some bad news. He explains that it's still going to take just over 2 months at their current rate of progress. It's not just the digging aspect that they've got to nail down. Habana is curious what else is left. Hero responds that they need to make sure the tunnel is perfected to prevent a cave-in. They also need to ensure water never sleeps inside and make a drainage system for it on the off chance it does. Then they have to come up with the lighting and at last a circulation system for air. It's a bunch of work that all has to be done, and it's going to take well over 2 months to accomplish. Habana realizes that the task demands much more than she initially assumed. She wonders if it's really necessary to go to such lengths. Hero explains that the purpose isn't just to transport salt, he's got bigger goals planned. Concerned for her energy levels, Hero asks if she's in tip-top shape to face Takumu in her current state. Hibana is so fatigued she's having trouble standing, but she still acts as if she's new. Hiro can tell by one look that she's not okay. He tells her to open her mouth. He takes out a small bead and reminds her not to spit it out. Hiro pops it inside and guards her face shut. The horrible taste makes Hibana want to vomit with every fiber of her being, but Hiro doesn't let her. In the end, she flops to the ground, disgusted by the horrible taste of what she just ate. Even Hiro can't stop himself from laughing at her state. He asks if she's feeling any better. Hibana inspects her body, and what do you know? She's feeling just like new now. Her body is as light as ever, which prompts her to question what he did. Hiro explains that he made a medicine with alchemy. However, he doesn't recommend using it too often as it would cause a heavy burden on her body. He also doesn't want them to go to waste as he's stocking them for an eventual war. It will help their soldiers to regain strength at critical moments which could turn the tide of the war. Hiro emphasizes that today is a special occasion for using the medicine. After all, he wants to see the appropriate gap between Hibana and Takumu's fighting capabilities. Then and only then will he be capable of forging a weapon for her. He also doesn't recommend Hibana's reckless approach to exhaust her body completely and repeat the process. She thanks him for helping her out just when she needed it the most. Hiro recommends they head back at once. Before leaving, Hibana has something to tell him. Apparently, she's got an important request for him. It was at this moment that Hibana confesses her romantic feelings, desiring to be Hiro's one true lover. It's a sudden confession, one that shocks even Hiro the alchemist. He's stunned and tries to question if she's alright, but Hibana confirms that she's not mistaken about her feelings. She really wants to earn his love and seeks the same coming from him. Hibana doesn't care about becoming queen or if their relationship is considered a secret. At the same time, she also wouldn't care if Hiro has an interest in someone else. Hiro once again asks if she's really serious about her words. Hibana confirms that she bore witness to the courage he displayed during the meeting. She could see the strength of his heart, and that's why she confessed her love. Hibana asks for his answer in return. Hiro is too baffled, shaken, and confused to even know what to respond with. His first question is to ask if she's had dating experience in her past life. Hibana confirms that she doesn't have any experience, but she thinks it's not going to be difficult. Hibana compares humans to animals having instincts that are understandable in their own way. Hiro is a flustered mess and explodes. He doesn't want to talk talk about it for the time being and wants to give it some time to consider her feelings. Hibana is comfortable with him taking as much time as he wants. After all, patience is her best quality as a swordsman. Anyway, Hero climbs out of the tunnel, still shaken by what he became a part of. He recalls how royal marriages are merely a display of power for strengthening foreign relations. At the same time, it's not too much of a hassle for Hero, since their country is way too poor and no one is going to bat an eye on the boy. Hibana is pretty strong and she's beautiful. Hero can't lie about her being an enjoyable person, but that's about it. He thinks it's better to know her better before engaging in a romantic relationship. After a while, Hibana and Hiro return to Takumu's side, where they are stared at by the warriors. She notices how they're being observed by those men. Hiro comments that it must be because of the duel. After all, many warriors are curious about her training. Takumu had been anticipating them. Hiro leaves Hibana in his care. The first thing he wants to see is how strong she currently is. So he has one of his formidable warriors, Gerod, for the job. Hibana is pleasantly surprised that she isn't getting to fight him straight away. Takumu objects that he wants to test her present skill level before taking her on. He's worried that he might actually kill the girl if she's too weak. Hibana accepts his terms, ready to prove that she's got everything it takes for this fight. Garrett asks if he should put in 100% of his power. Takumu emphasizes that he should, because he'll come to regret it if he lets it easy against the Imperial Guard of the King. The two warriors have a standoff. Before the fight begins, Hibana asks about the rules of the fight. Garrett explains that both of them will use wooden swords, and whoever lands the first strike will win the battle. It's as easy as pie to understand. Hiro analyzes Garrett's strength and realizes that he's a tough opponent to beat. He's probably one of the best soldiers behind Takumu, evidenced by his mana, which is smooth and precise. Both warriors take positions to fight. The battle begins as the both of them lunge forward for a slash. Hibana is the first to take a solid attack, forcing Garrett on the back foot with a defensive maneuver. He endured more of her swift attacks, surprising him from every single angle. Hibana tries to overwhelm Garrett with her impressive speed, and she really gives him a tough time, not sparing him a single moment to fight back. Hiro is impressed by her combat ability so far and notes how she's making use of the ground excellently to get the positional advantage. It's the easiest for her to overwhelm her opponent with offensive strikes like this. At the same time, there is one glaring problem bothering Hiro at present. It's the fact that Garrod is slowly adapting and he's good enough to stand against her without any problems. He's not surprised by her attacks anymore and makes the minimum of adjustments to adapt to her strikes. It's almost as if he's waiting for the perfect moment to pin her down. More clashes continue with Garrod and Hibana duking it out. Hiro is starting to notice how Garrod is basically on par with Hibana now, severely pushing her on the back foot as well. At the same time, Hibana's personal ability has stagnated and her stamina is running out from her consistent attacks. Just when it looks like Garrett is about to get a clean hit, Hibana shocks everyone by lunging over him and landing clean from behind. Now that she's got his blind spot exposed to herself, Hibana lands a precise slash and defeats Garrod in a single attack. Garrod topples to the ground, concluding in Hibana's decisive victory. He's forced to admit her strength and even thanks Hibana for their epic battle. Takumu, who has so far been observing this fight, is impressed by both sides. He looks up to Hibana and commends her strength. The Imperial Guard questions what he means, so Takumu tells her to exchange swords with him. Takumu takes his own sword out and tells Hiro to hold the blade. Since the boy has little to no strength, he barely holds it in place. Takumo explains that he's going to make his advance using Hibana's weapon. He vanishes in a second and cuts apart Hiro's blade in half. The alchemist is devastated yet shocked by his strength. Takumo's suspicions have proven correct. Hibana's sword gives her a really good advantage in battle. It was able to cut his sword without any trouble. Hibana asks what he is really doing, so Takumo has to explain what he really means. If a real fight goes down, Takumo will be beaten the second his sword parries her own. Hibana takes it as an insult and realizes that Takumo intends to win without taking any strikes in return. But his confidence is sky high. He thinks it's going to happen exactly like that. The Imperial Knight is offended and claims that she doesn't want a handicap to win their battle, so Takumo extends her the invitation to prove her words by winning the fight. If she wins, he's happy to remove the handicap and fight for real. But Takumo's intimidating confidence is enough to conclude that she won't be winning the fight anytime soon. A concerned hero asks if she can really pull it off, to which Hibana confirms, although her words seem weightless. The alchemist reflects that she came here to find the difference between their strength, and all of a sudden she's trying to aim for a win. It's because her emotions are playing a part. Hibana is mad that Takumo belittled her swordsmanship with his words. It seemed pretty intentional on Takumo's part. According to Hiro, while he isn't trying to underestimate her, his words have taken effect. Both warriors stand to face each other. The fight begins, and in a flash of a second, it's already over. Hibana is on the ground, while Takumo is standing like nothing even happened. Even Hiro can't believe what happened. Takumo stares down at the defeated girl. Hiro realizes that Takumo used his full strength to make sure he doesn't have to worry about defense. His win condition was to avoid parrying her sword even once after all. Hibana did try to attack him, so he just bothered dodging all of the hits. Then in one precise moment, he ended the fight with one attack. It was a counterattack. Takumo's fighting ability is dangerously calculating. He analyzed every last bit of her fighting prowess and acted accordingly like a machine. Takumo's strength isn't his overwhelming speed or power, but his godly skill. While he didn't have a concrete plan of battle, it was the best way to show Hibana how far she has to go. Takumo confirms that she is well trained when it comes to her physical strength. Her efforts aren't falling short either, but the only thing separating her from becoming the best is her talent. She's careless in her fighting style and doesn't think once about her opponent's strikes. For Hibana, she lacks the ability to analyze her opponent and plan accordingly. That's what is limiting her the most at present. Takumo dismisses his units after training and then turns to Hiro. He emphasizes that while Hibana's good as she is, her talent is being rotten for simplifying her opponents into a basic category of who she can and can't defeat. It's a spoiled mindset. That's why Takumo intentionally handicapped himself, because he was dead confident he would win the fight anyway. For Hibana, she has never worried about her opponents because of her lack of interest. She swung her sword carelessly and reached a collapse. His words may seem cruel, but Hiro thinks they're all true. Hibana didn't have any rival to teach her the real face of defeat. The Golden Knights were always way stronger than her, so she never got the chance to train with them either. Takumo confirms that she needs to train and fix her experience of battle, as well as accept the frustration that comes with defeat. Hiro also believes that observing one's opponent is perhaps the most important skill. He's proud of his older brother, who has an impressive ability to guide others. Hiro is really happy to have him by his side. He thanks Takumo for his guidance and thinks that it's a fruitful experience that will surely train Hibana for the better. Takumo makes a personal request for the boy as well. He wants a weapon to be forged, a sword in fact. After all, he was sliced in half just now. Takumu emphasizes that he wants a sword out of the same materials. He shares a bond with his weapon instead of using something brand new. Hiro realizes that the test from before was to see just how powerful swords made out of alchemy really were. Hiro confirms that he'll forge him a new sword as a gift of gratitude for training Hibana. Enchantments are special. The more experience the materials have, the better the enchantment. Since Takumu's sword has seen a wave of countless battles, it will come out more monstrous and powerful than ever before. The boy promises to make him a new weapon, but wishes that it doesn't get used in his fight against Hibana. Takumu confirms that he shared no ambition of doing that. After all, he wants both Hiro and Hibana to surpass his current level, since this man will be unstoppable after his alchemized sword. Takumu leaves, allowing Hiro to go and check on Hibana, who is wasted in the face of defeat. He comforts her completely destroyed expression, a face of sour defeat, sadness, and frustration. She can't believe how she was overpowered so easily. While she faced many defeats in the past, this was the first fight that truly reminded her of the difference in strength. Hiro encourages her to do something about it. Frustrated yet determined, Hibana confirms that she will train and become stronger, promising to never humiliate his name. Hiro extends her hand and explains that he finally figured out the missing piece needed to achieve victory against Takumu in their upcoming match. He takes her to the workshop, but Hibana has been greatly discouraged. She doesn't think any weapon has a shot of defeating the monstrous skill of Takumu. Right now, she's completely helpless and requires Hiro's help to the fullest. Hiro is happy with her forward-facing mindset. He comforts her and emphasizes that they'll win against Takumu no matter what. From her recent defeat, Hiro has learned an important thing. He has discovered a way to mitigate the strength gap between the two. Hibana's current state is one of devastation. She has grown afraid and timid, unlike her usual self. Hiro reminds her about her motivation never to feel humiliation again. Hibana hopes to catch up to his skill level one day, but the impossible aspect is that she has to overcome that skill level in a single week. It just doesn't seem feasible, even if he crafts her a weapon too strong. After all, Takumu can always just beat her by avoiding her strikes. Hiro thinks they still have a chance. Instead of strengthening the weapon, his idea is to strengthen Hibana instead. When it comes to swords, there are 4 factors that matter the most. It's weight, sharpness, sturdiness, and destructiveness. Since her sword excels at being sharp and light, it's impossible to make the weapon any lighter or sharper. At the same time, destructive output won't help them either, which means there's practically no chance for them to strengthen the sword and expect a different outcome than from what happened today. Hiro explains that instead, they should craft her an armament that helps increase her combat ability. While it will create a burden on her body, it will buy her 3 minutes of boost. Hibana believes 3 minutes will be adequate for a sword fighting match, but she doesn't know how he's going to accomplish creating the armament. Hiro claims that the best way to accomplish that is by using the power of electricity. Hibana immediately raises her objection due to shock. She doesn't even know what electricity is. Hiro thinks of a way to adequately explain and thinks it is best to allow her to feel it. Hibana almost thinks it's something dirty, but Hiro is quick to clarify that it's nothing like that. Still, she's up to the job and thinks that she'll be able to take anything he shoves in her way. Hiro is in a really naughty mood because what this guy does is shake her hand with a full burst of electricity, shocking the living crap out of her and laughing right afterwards. This guy's a menace, but he wasn't expecting a cute reaction from her. Now that Hibana has found out the hard way what electricity is, Hiro further explains that even humans have nerves that carry electricity. The sensation she felt just now is a result of her muscles reacting to the electricity. By using an outside force, he could easily manipulate Hibana's muscles and make them react as needed. Proof of this is the fact that her arm moved after he gave her another shock. Hibana really doesn't like the fact that her body isn't obeying her. She wonders if this is the trick when it comes to the creation of the armament. Hiro confirms that it's his plan to manipulate electricity and improve Hibana's kinetic vision as a consequence of that. After accelerating the conduction through her muscles, it would lead to an improvement in her reflexes. Hibana is okay with that. She wants to use it immediately in her upcoming training. After all, it will take her some time to get used to the armament. At the same time, she wants to observe Takumu's movements in a way she can comprehend. Hiro is happy that she's up to speed and ready to challenge his brother again. He's going to take a total of 2 days to craft the armament. Hibana is okay with that, but she still hasn't forgotten what electricity has to do with the naughty things. Hiro explains that the only way for him to run electricity through her is if they held hands together. Clothes would be a problem since he won't be able to transfer the full data. Hibana understands the assignment and prefers that they do it right after she's cleaned up. Apparently, she's got a different idea of what he means. Hiro confirms that he's okay doing it after they've eaten too. Hiro also tells her about the person who helped him bake bread. He's going to go share a meal with them and wants Hibana to tag along. She happily accepts and is eager to meet the person he is so fond of. Hiro questions the meaning behind her words. Hibana explains that she can tell just by his voice how enthusiastic and happy he sounds whenever he mentions this mysterious person. Hiro wasn't expecting this, but it turns out Hibana does observe his reactions. Hiro confirms that she's right and he might even love this mysterious person. After all, this mystery woman will be responsible for providing him the necessary aid required to save their country from doom. His words cause her a great deal of concern. But anyway, they come to the location. Hibana is all prepped up in new clothes. She's also covered herself in a nice scent. She teases him quite a lot, but Hiro doesn't fall for her bait and gets called a coward for it. They explore the floor made for the royal family. Hiro confirms that the person they're meeting is one of royalty. Hibana is slowly getting worried that she might end up meeting his fiancée of some kind. Hiro points her to the room and they go inside. It happens to be a royal room, a place where Hiro's father studied. It's also the place where he's keeping this mysterious girl. A petite girl comes out to greet the knight. Hibana's first reaction is that she's way too cute. The girl stares at Hibana for a while before enthusiastically embracing her hands. She has heard so much about the Imperial Knight from her brother Hiro. Yes, you heard that right. Princess Nayuki is actually Hiro's younger sister. After being traumatized with what happened to Mary, Hiro plans to keep her away from the world. Hibana understands where he's coming from and kneels to pay Nayuki the respect she deserves. Nayuki is so glad she got to meet her brother's childhood friend. Hibana is pleasantly surprised that she knows so much about them. Hiro confirms that he had to fill her in about everything that goes on in the outside world. Nayuki admires Hibana's strength and values her a lot. At the same time, Hibana finds her really adorable and lunges in for a squeeze. To her shock, the figure she's holding seems to have suddenly grown taller. Turns out Rebecca, Nayuki's special knight, intervened to prevent her from hurting Nayuki. Hibana is shocked to see Rebecca here of all places. Hiro thanks her for her favors from the other day too. She's still annoyed that she had to dress up as a servant to play along with Hiro's whims. Hibana is happy to find Rebecca here, while the other is annoyed she failed to recognize her before. Rebecca welcomes her in kind and praises her for maintaining Hiro's reputation and guarding him. She also notes that Hiro has always been stubborn about not having a royal knight. It's only until he found Hibana that he decided to keep one. Hibana is happy to hear that, causing Hiro some level of embarrassment. He remembers the brutal treatment he received from Rebecca during his childhood training. Hibana thought that Rebecca would one day become an officer in the army. She's really surprised that Rebecca settled for Princess Nayuki and wonders if she really values her. Rebecca seems to have a really different and protective side when it comes to guarding Nayuki. It's almost too protective with how she keeps her in check and prevents harm from anyone close by. Hiro teases her for her overwhelming love for Nayuki. He carries the explanation to help better understand Hibena what's been going on lately. Both of them are secret accomplices of his own. Nayuki baked the bread while Rebecca served it. Since Hiro wanted to prevent more people from knowing about his secret, he sought their help. What's more is that Hiro has come here for his newest experiment. Nayuki confirms and shows him the brilliant pasta they made. Hibana is confused and really doesn't even know what a hard noodle tastes like. Hiro explains that it has to reach a state of boiling before being eaten. Nayuki helps explain how preserved foods usually get a bad reputation, but pasta is quite different and in a league of its own. The dehydrated pasta is good for up to 3 years of storage. This would help them prepare against a bad year really easily. Hibana has had plenty of noodle dishes before, but she's never seen them hard like this. Rebecca explains that it's certainly a genius idea to preserve noodles this way. Hiro is eager for the real deal and hopes for Nayuki to have come up with a taste tester. His joyous little sister is more than happy to show him what she's come up with. After all, she has prepared an entire batch ready to go. They share a table together. Nayuki presents her magnum opus of the evening, the delicious pasta recipe. Hibana is amazed by its presentation and smell. Rebecca recommends they eat while it's still hot. They season it with a bunch of salt before Hiro takes a spoonful bite. He loves the test as it came out even better than his original batch. Even Hibana can't believe the previously hard noodle could deform and become soft like this. The firm texture of the noodle was made possible thanks to Nayuki's expert cooking skills. She doesn't want to take credit for them and explains that she tried many different ways to cook the pasta. Hiro is really happy with her deliberate practice in perfecting the cooking style. Nayuki grows embarrassed because he's constantly attacking her with his praise. Hiro pours some of the white sauce over, which heightens the taste even more. The sauce contains mushroom stock and potatoes, adding for the perfect mix. While Hiro knew about it from his past life, it would have seemed normal to prepare a sauce. However, Nayuki is the one who came up with the idea, which really surprises her. Previously, potatoes were merely boiled in the country, so she decided to use them as a way to make the sauce. Habana tests out another sauce and wonders what it will taste like. After experiencing its sour taste, she's unusually surprised. It is thanks to vinegar that the sauce is working so well. Hibana enjoys the taste, while Nayuki explains that she made teff vinegar by accident while she was trying to make something else. The different sauces she came up with all taste delicious to both of them. Hiro is thrilled to receive the recipes from Nayuki, who is happy and willing to share them. Habana hugs Nayuki in excitement, while Hiro believes that they're doing more than just providing people with wheat flour. They're going to actually teach them how to make the delicious recipes. Nayuki's contribution is crucial to the prosperity of the country. Speaking of which, Hiro wants to know about how she accidentally made vinegar too. He's excited to hear that it can be used at its current state too. Hibana questions what's going on, while Hiro is glad about Nayuki's results so far. Even Rebecca testifies to Nayuki's brilliant cooking. She thinks nothing in the entire kingdom compares to her special meal. Hibana is lost, not knowing what they're talking about. She wants to know what they're so happy for. Rebecca decides to go and retrieve the delicacy in question. It seems like a form of drink. Hibana has her own guesses, but Hiro wants her to try it out and experience the taste. He stares at the drink with anticipation, remembering just how long it had been since he enjoyed it. Hiro chugs down the ale and refreshes himself. Ever since he managed to grow wheat, he has been focusing on the creation of alcohol. Hiro reflects that if the country's people need to experience joy and happiness, then they also need to create luxurious foods and drinks. The ale serves this purpose with perfection. Hibana agrees that this is the best ale she's ever had. Hiro explains how he used the informer's skill as a blueprint to create the recipe. Then Nayuki's talent for cooking further perfected it. It literally tastes like happiness and represents a prosperous life. Hiro tells Nayuki something important. In the upcoming Harvest Festival, he will soon announce himself as the future king of the nation. This declaration is a representation of Hiro's resolve to lead the country. During that festival, he wants the people to enjoy the delicious ale. Nayuki happily agrees to make enough ale by the time the festival comes around. Hibana offers herself to help as much as possible. Hiro acknowledges how Nayuki is useless as a weapon for the country, but that's just the mindset Takumu and Agata have adopted for her. She might be shy and seemingly just to be used as a bargaining chip for foreign affairs, but her personality makes her unsuited in the realm of politics. Nayuki possesses impressive magical and physical stats, but she's quite sensitive to the sun. She can't fight for her life, and her caring personality would also be her undoing. Despite all of her flaws, she possesses the means necessary to help this country become prosperous. She made the bread that impressed both his brothers. Hiro soon intends to reveal this information to them. It will allow both Takumu and Agata to form a different opinion of their little sister. As for the upcoming duel between Takumu and Haibana, while it may be important, the more important thing is the country's continued growth. Agata's help will further assist them in Nayuki's innovative recipes. That's how the country will come out of stagnation and start pedaling forward. Later that day, Hiro asks Hibana to do what they intended. They're done with food after all. Unfortunately, Hibana doesn't feel great and requests taking a break for an hour. She stuffed herself by eating too much and won't be able to do well. After much insistence, Hiro listens to her demands. Hebana starts working out like a mad woman to burn the calories. She doesn't care about the sweat and focuses merely on working out. 1 whole hour passes, and Hebana finally walks towards Hiro, prepared for what they're supposed to do. For the process to work, Hibana needs to wear the bare minimum of clothes possible. She removes them all and presents her back to Hiro, who is flustered to embrace her body. It's embarrassing at first for both of them. Hibana remains calm and becomes quiet. Hiro shakes off his thoughts and prioritizes on the task at hand. He places his palms on her back, forcing electrical shocks across her nerves. Hiro confirms that her natural body possesses talent that she hasn't unlocked. Now that he's buffing his body and improving her overall kinetic vision, she might just have a shot against Takumu. She's happy to hear that she'll be much stronger in the span of a single week. Hiro confirms that together with their hard work, they'll be able to climb to Takumu's strength and perhaps even defeat him. Habana finds it rather unfair that she's the only warrior who gets to receive buffs from his alchemy skill. She wonders if he can also increase the strength of Takumu's soldiers using the same skill. After all, he already plans to craft special swords for every one of them. Hibana believes that they might end up crafting a powerful army, rivaling the Golden Knights themselves. That's what Hiro is aiming for at least. This is the reason Hibana really has to beat Takumu, even if it seems impossible. Hibana apologizes for her disappointing attitude from earlier and promises to beat him this time. By the end of the process, Hiro is left completely exhausted, while Hibana feels better than ever. She thanks him for everything he did for her. Hiro thinks it's enough for today and advises her to return to her room because he's still got work to take care of. Hibana's feelings get the better of her as she confesses how her heart was racing the entire time. She walks away right after saying that, leaving our boy down bad thinking about her. The following day at the tunnel site, both of them are hard at work. It's getting even harder for Hibana, who has to cover more distance the deeper Hiro digs the tunnel. Hiro recommends they have lunch and take a break. Today's lunch was a pasta box made by Nayuki the chef. She crafted a lot of flavors into one box just for them to enjoy. Hibana loves the meal and immediately recovers from her exhausted state. Hero emphasizes that they got a lot to do as they've only worked for 2 days now. He also has a meeting with Agatha later in the day, while Hibana has to cover her training with Takumu, who wants her to become the prime example of growth for his soldiers. Hiro explains that he won't be there to see her train since he's busy on his own. However, he leaves her with the prepared armor, a bodysuit that massively improves her physical strength by harnessing the power of electricity. Even though Hiro said it would take him 2 whole days to prepare, he exerted himself and finished it in one night. Hibana grabs his face, noticing the dark circles right under his eye. She can tell that he went the extra mile and didn't catch a single wink of sleep last night. She's still happy he made it for her, but thinks it would be best if Hiro got some rest instead of digging tunnels. Our workaholic protagonist doesn't stop his grind and doesn't want to skip even a single day. He's only got so much mana for one day, and it's not like he'll have more mana after resting for one day. Hiro's all the more happy to create the bodysuit for Hibana, as this will help her the most in battle. She wears it at once, while Hiro gives her liberty to find the suit's weaknesses and bring them to him so he can improve it further. This first product is just a draft, a prototype for what is to come. After he's finished with Hibana, Hiro arrives to meet with his brother Agatha, who presents him with a bunch of documents to inspect. And since I know you don't want to be bothered seeing what all these boring ass documents are about, we're ending the video here, but if you would actually want to see more, there is enough chapters, so let's get 2k likes for the next part. Go subscribe to my manhwa recap channel right now, link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this one, bros. Stay awesome and peace!